Hey, welcome to another exciting adventure, a wacky week with the Cranky Geeks. And I'm your host, John C. Dvorak. So let's get started by introducing today's phenomenal guests, beginning with Sebastian Rupley, the co-crank, so he says, editorial director of PCMagcast.com. You've left something off of here. Wasn't there a couple other things?
I have a few other titles too, but I just left them off to be humble.
Sitting on his left is Roger Chang, the notorious producer for Revision 3, which happens to be just down the street.
Yes.
And on my left is Dave Mathews, formerly of the Dave Mathews Band.
Why would you
perpetuate this?
Have you ever heard
I'm
that
telling you, he's
joke?
going to get you some dates if I keep it up.
His name's not spelled the same way.
And I have better hair.
Known as the Gadget Guy, also formerly at Sling Media, he holds over, as we speak, 30 patents and counting. He's a patent machine, this guy. But meanwhile, talking about patents, let's talk about the 3G iPhone, which is debuted with glitches. You have a glitch. I was just playing with your...
The apps, they limited to what only 4,000 developers could write iPhone apps because they wanted to keep the quality high. And I don't know how many times it's rebooted on me when I try
It rebooted on me just now.
Yeah.
You know what I think is really smart that they're doing is they have this fund for application developers. What is it, $100 million or something like that? It's a serious fund. If you want to get a new platform going, the best thing you can do is pay developers to create good stuff.
Well, Apple used to do that in the olden days.
Yeah.
And now it's $99 for the dev kit. And I think that's the biggest story about the 3G iPhone. In the past, Palm really got the mobile device application thing going, and where they've been the last few years, right? And Windows Mobile, another difficult platform to write for.
Never could get together.
For the iPhone, $99, you can be a developer. So you could be one, John.
But
I could, but I can't think of anything to develop.
I think the best develop would be a real-time dating app, like the missed connections in real time, right? Like Now Connections or some LBS dating.
How about one of those things where you walk past somebody, like they used to have? Remember the Japanese device with that beep because somebody has a profile that's kind of like yours, and you walk past them and it's beeping, and it's vibrating, and you
like long walks on the beach. I like long walks on the beach.
And you're both on the beach.
Well, you could always create some sort of, John Dvorak quotable, so every time you come up with a really pithy saying, you could save it.
There's thousands of them. But it's hardly an app. That's a giveaway app. It's just I'm not going to make any money from that.
Do your ad banners for Dvorak.org/blog.
Use it as a way
What was that again? So you like to use the 3G you got here?
No, this is not the 3G. I went to Europe right before the 3G launch, so I wasn't going to buy the 2G iPhone to go to Europe, so I took the iTouch and I ran the iPhone software on it. And now I'm running the iPhone 2.0 software on it just as a hotspot device. So, you know what, with the iPhone, you really don't want to talk to people anyway. Really?
Yeah.
No, you just want to do the data apps.
You were showing me the applications on here. You have like 100 apps on there already.
Yeah, I have 5, I think, pages of apps, all free. I have not paid for a single app. I'm almost on the fence to buy Super Monkey Ball.
Yeah.
Have you seen this one?
Super Monkey Ball was at the announcement. They showed it.
So you use the gyro sensors to control. So it's kind of like the Wii meets, the iPhone. But $9.95, I don't know.
$9.95, and it's too expensive for you?
I'm going to play it once, and then it'll get lost with all my other 500 apps.
Yeah,
but who has time for games?
Apple did blow it on the day they unleashed this stuff, though. They were going to do what's done with standard cell phones.
I think it's a bad sign.
Go in the store, and then they activate it, and they completely blew that. They were actually telling people at the stores, go home and activate your phone.
Which then their servers were down, so you couldn't even activate it at home. You couldn't even do the 2.0 software upgrade on the original iPhone because their servers were down.
I think it's a bad sign that you're not going to spend $9 crummy on an app for this thing. That indicates to me that everyone who owns these things is going to probably think like you.
But there's so many apps available.
I think
Have you bought an app? Have you bought an app?
I don't have an iPhone yet.
Well, there you have it. I proved it.
You know what?
But the thing is, if an app is compelling enough and it's marketed to the right audience, I don't see why they couldn't.
Is there a hot app out there that people are selling that we know of?
Not off the top of my head.
There you have it.
They showed a bunch of them at
It's doomed.
They showed a bunch of them at the announcement. Jobs did, and the coolest thing I saw that they showed was actually a little music application that some no-name developer from England produced. Have you seen this thing where you can make it sound like a bass? You can make it sound like a guitar.
Oh yeah, there's
composition.
How much does this sell for?
I think it's $9.95 too.
There's a free one I have called Mixmeister Scratch, and you can take air raid sirens, and you can do this little on-screen scratching here with the little vinyl.
Well,
Very clever, but free. Again, another app that it's worthless at any cost.
It's a novelty app. I mean, I'm sure I think give it time. Give it half a year.
Give it half a year. So meanwhile, of course, the reception is supposed to be mediocre with 3G. Has anyone gotten any reports back?
It's a new network, right? It's not the Edge network. It's not the old infrastructure that they spent 5 years developing. So what do you expect, right?
This is just a gimmick.
It's like switching on a brand new network. But you can go to 2G mode and get more battery life, which is nice.
But supposedly the iPhone 3G kind of hangs on longer than other 3G phones to a 3G. Is that your signal you want to move on? Please tell me. Or you can hit me square in the eye with that.
I've never done that before. The idea of throwing the card in front of the camera just for that effect. I think we've stumbled onto something. That wasn't the point. I was just getting rid of those cards.
That's right.
But you're right. But you are right. The topic is boring. Icon blasts Yahoo. This guy's like becoming a bad penny.
He is.
Yes.
But he's very good at getting what he wants. He did this with Oracle and BA, where he was putting pressure on, and Oracle ended up acquiring
He's
BA.
an example of a rich guy throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, he's the ultimate lawyer style ambulance chaser, right? He's got the police scanner on, he's looking at the latest news, and he goes after whatever the hot topic is. Best PR
Activist
ever.
shareholder. It's just, to me.
What does that mean?
That's my point. It's
Activist shareholder.
It sounds like he's doing something
for society.
Exactly, and it turns out he's just doing it to
make money for himself.
He's bored. He should go to the beach. He should buy an island like
How
Branson.
dare you not take the money off?
This is what he likes to do with his time. He likes to spend his time doing this, being a troublemaker.
He spends most of his time writing letters to CEOs and criticizing them. It reminds me of that book, The Laszlo Letters. You ever seen that? That's a hilarious book. It was Father Guido Sarducci from Saturday Night Live. Used to write letters to the CEO.
Right.
He would write to the CEO of Hershey and say, "Why is there only one M on M&M?" Or he'd go to to other people and say, "Why can I not go out at night, shine a light in the water, and use a machine gun to fish?"
We're going to take a machine gun break right now. We'll be right back right after this message.
I'm Danica Patrick, IndyCar driver and GoDaddy girl. I know a little bit about speed, so take it from me. If you want a fast way to make a name for yourself on the internet, GoDaddy has everything you need. GoDaddy got me online fast, and they can do the same for you. .com names as low as $1.99. When you have something to say it at GoDaddy.com.
Welcome back to Cranky Geeks. With regard to that GoDaddy offer, by the way, we need to get this Danica on. They told me they were having Danica on the show, and then we ended with Danica Farber.
Danica Farber.
That was not the same thing. Anyway, if you just saw that, as a Cranky Geeks viewer, you can enter the code CRANK, C-R-A-N-K, and when you check out, you'll save an additional 10% on any order. Some restrictions apply. See site for details. Get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com. Can't miss it. Microsoft, Google back broad privacy. Well, actually, let's get back to the Carl Icahn thing. By the way, I ran into a piece which I ran on the blog, which indicates that this whole thing may be about a patent.
Really?
That the Omniture patent. When Yahoo bought Omniture, they have some sort of a paid search patent in there. Overture. Is it Overture or Omniture?
Overture.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, they get this.
Trust me, I know patents, John.
Yeah, you would. You got 30 of them. So anyway, so there's this patent. It's called the something or other 531 or something like that, and it has to do with paid search. And there was a deal supposedly done between Google and Yahoo, so they got a payout, and that's one of the reasons Google and Yahoo are doing this deal, this sweet deal in the meantime, so they don't have to pay royalties. Microsoft figures if they can get the whole of that patent, they can put the screws to Google.
Yeah.
Anyone heard about this?
I wouldn't surprise me. A lot of these patent deals aren't direct licenses, but cross licenses. If you think about all the patents that Yahoo would have over time, or they'd acquire, versus the patents that Microsoft has, I'd say there's a lot of cross symmetries there that they could benefit from.
But meanwhile, Google's got what? Nothing?
Google has a lot of IP, but they put money into funds like intellectual ventures, so you don't really know what access Google has to IP, their own plus other third-party patents.
Anyway, there's more to this than meets the eye, apparently. Anyway, Microsoft and Google are backing a broad privacy legislation initiative They told lawmakers Wednesday that Congress should pass basic private. What are they up to here, Sebastian?
These two companies have a lot of information that they themselves store about users. But so I think it's actually good that they're doing this. They're going to set.
Are you sure they're not doing it to protect themselves?
I don't think so. They are right. They want to set rules about supplying consumer information in certain instances and things like that. And there should be rules. Have you ever looked in those terms of use things in applications? I mean,
No.
the stuff.
Does anybody?
The stuff that you're bound by and the rules that these folks operate by.
Read the
is
one that I
wild.
wrote for the Dvorak.org/blog.
Oh, yours is a humor one?
It's legally binding as far as I can tell because I based it on an actual legal document. You know, that's a
Magna
boilerplate,
Carta.
but there's a few gotchas in there that are kind of interesting.
Now, did you see the Viacom deal? They've requested whatever all the records of everyone that's
Of
ever
the YouTube people
looked at
who was
every-
watching what when, and then all the YouTube people are going.
Right. So this is
There's 12 terabytes of data.
wow, and this is like a direct hit the other direction to try and lock that data down. But Viacom already has been requested and granted access, but have they given up the goods yet?
No, but yesterday Viacom came out and said that they will not look at the IP addresses and other identifiers. They just want to see how many hours were people watching which videos and were they ours.
Well, I think the reason they're doing this essentially is because they know as time goes on, they're eventually going to be at the end of a lawsuit about privacy. So they figure they can kind of protect themselves early on by if they endorse. And I looked at the legislation, and it's not super binding compared to like what privacy advocates.
You're talking about this one with Microsoft and
yeah,
Google?
It's not as tight as privacy advocates would like, but I think in Microsoft's and Google's mind, if we get this out there, then somewhere along the line people start saying,
So why are they doing this?
I think it's just because there's so many lawsuits now that if they can kind
What lawsuits are we talking about?
in terms
How many lawsuits or privacy lawsuits are out there against Microsoft or Google?
There are a
for,
lot
what?
of them. They
For
get hit with
Google,
those a lot.
especially if well didn't
Well, how's this going to stop a lawsuit?
no if they can say like we've basically followed the government's regulation on
That they
privacy.
wrote.
We're covered. You can't sue us because we're basically following the law. So you neither need to rewrite the law, but you can't sue us directly. Other than
So that's the reason they're doing it.
that's
to
what I
protect
believe. I
themselves.
think essentially, it's just like
So this is no goodwill involved here at all. It's just
of course,
basically,
everything's based on self-interest. I mean, come on.
not everything.
Oh, yeah.
You're here for the good of
Give
the
me-
people.
I am. I do this as a service to the public.
And not at all to brand the
Dvorak.org/blog. I do that once in a while, but I don't. If people have noticed the show, I haven't done it for months, literally.
Sorry for getting you re-engaged.
Well,
in
you
that.
got it started. I didn't do it.
I was going old school Dvorak here.
Yeah.
I was trying to bring it back.
Tiny drives, big risks is the weakest link in your tech setup. Your flash thumb drive. ThreatSense.net, the malware monitoring site run by the antivirus software maker Esset, never heard of them, found that 10.3% of recent malware detections involved programs trying to take advantage of thumb drives. This is kind of like coming up with the one. This is
like the floppy
This one
disk.
is off the wall. Somebody coming. Do we know for a fact that thumb drives are being attacked?
Yeah, I'm sure that they are
But
being
what-
attacked
what are
just
they being
because they're
attacked?
very popular and you get so much capacity with them and all that. But
I got a 32
the other
gigabyte thumb
The other thing
drive.
is you can just lose those easily. I mean, look at all these people losing laptops, like the Veterans Administration guy who let out all the
Yeah,
names
people
on his
lose the thumb
laptop.
drives constantly.
Yeah.
I think the greater issue is just people walking off with data they shouldn't have. I mean, you buy a brand new PC, they're convenience USB ports on front. You just take the thumb drive off your keychain, you plug it in, you're copping over.
Yeah, there's with
records.
2.0.
Corporate
It's really
espionage,
fast.
Is that what you're
You
saying?
can really pull off a lot of stuff really quick with 400 megabits per second. I thought 400 megabits or
480,
bytes. 480.
480 megabits
Now, a
per
few
second.
years ago in New York, someone did a very interesting social engineering plant. They put thumb drives all around a bank, just scattered them on the ground of a high-rise in Manhattan. And the employees, a few of them picked up these thumb drives, put them in their machines within the bank, and think about it, they bypassed
Oh.
all the corporate
Yeah, that's
firewalls.
really a great
they did
idea.
password grabbing and then pushed it out of port 80, once again getting through the firewalls.
Yeah.
So that was, I tried to research that story before this one to see if we could get a link up to it, but it's a really interesting story from about 3 years ago.
That's an old hack, actually. I've reported this on the show before, but I was once interviewing Kevin Mitnick, the famous
Yeah, of
hacker.
course, yeah.
And I was asking him, how'd you come up with all this awesome code that let you get behind all these firewalls and things? Like, you're really a good hacker, huh? And he said, no, not at all. He said, I would walk into a business with a floppy disk that I put a label on that said salaries.xls. And I had a tiny
It's a great
little
gag.
back door on there, and some snoop in the office would just put the floppy disk in, and boom, he's on the network.
So now you know what to put on your thumb drive.
Yeah.
Salaries.
Salaries.xls.
Well, I mean, I think the bigger question is just I think you need to instill a certain sense of security-mindedness amongst the staff. Just say like, hey, don't be plugging things that you shouldn't into the corporate PC.
Or put a condom on your thumb drive. I think that's really where it's all.
I think there's got to be some.
Or just go back to the day of like dumb terminals and just a mainframe in the closet.
I don't know what ThreatSense.net has to offer that would do this, but it seems to me that the machines themselves should do a stop action thing when a thumb drive is plugged in that's alien to it, and just take a quick look at it.
Or you could,
Yeah, you can do that as a policy within Windows networking, right?
Yeah,
so
there's no
the
reason you
policy
can't.
manager could put disable that.
Yeah, it should be easy enough. And we're going to take one more break. We'll be right back after this message.
So I'll be able to sit down and watch this whole show in one swoop now.
You will.
That's
you will.
awesome.
Woohoo.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
my TV and
It's
PC
like a
setup.
shrine to me. Oh, my dreams are rather twisted.
So it was Dragon on Dragon action.
Oops, don't look at that. Hail, hail to the Team DLTV. Check. I have a lot of friends that poo-poo it, man, but come on.
You are now free to move about the cabin.
Welcome back to the Cranky Geeks. So, the world's oldest blogger, and I was kind of concerned when I first heard this because I thought it was Dan Gilmore.
I thought it was you, actually.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it is.
It's usually funnier if the joke is done in this, as opposed to the kicker not being as funny. It doesn't work. Anyway, an Australian woman, just if you want to know, an Australian woman described as the world's oldest internet blogger has died at the age of 108 after posting a final message, which is kind of weird, about singing a happy song in her nursing home.
A terrible song.
So
I
what is it? Was it
I
you
watched
watched
the
this?
YouTube video, but this woman.
She was actually on YouTube singing the song,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
she died on the spot?
No, I wish that would have been a little more.
I know
had
you
some nice
wish.
story.
Well,
No, I
the
don't
letters
wish.
go to
I mean,
him.
You're great humanitarian.
No, but think about it. This
Dave
woman was.
Mathews, care of the Dave Mathews Band.
I watch the old people die on YouTube.
That's right. Think about it. This woman was born in
could happen.
1900.
Yeah.
Do you believe that? Now, she wasn't actually blogging, and nor were any of her 15 cats. It was a 60-year-old man that had befriended her, and he was writing the entries.
He
But-
was doing the blogging.
He was a facilitator.
But the stories, I gotta admit, when I first saw this story, I'm like, what the hell does she have to talk about? But I started reading the
Oh,
stories.
there you go again. That's
and it's-
Dave Matthews at the Dave Matthews
Oh,
Band.
he just
DaveMatthews.com with just one T. That's very important.
What could someone who's seen the better part of a century possibly?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
But she
What
talked
a
about.
line. That's a classic. That goes on the Christmas
she
reel.
can't-
What
if
does
she
somebody who's
can't-
108 years old have to say?
Right. If she can't tell me about the latest 2.0 iPhone app,
you're just a tech geek.
Yeah, but it was interesting. She was talking about how they used to do laundry. And she would go get wood crates and build a fire, and her mom would boil water in a big copper tank, and they'd stir the sheets and put in chunks of soap. And now she's talking about our newfangled washing machines that we have here.
Yeah, well, things used to be a lot more difficult back in 1902.
At least her last post was about singing a happy song, though. You would think most people at that age would be posting something that starts with, back in my day.
When I was a kid,
Back
She
in
had
my
those. Those were in there
The
too.
best one is you don't know how good you have it, and then ... and you explain why the postal service back in the day was so much more arduous because you had to walk down the block to send in mail, and then
It
have
was
to
only a
wait
penny.
2 weeks.
So that was back in my day then.
Yeah, it was back in my day. Yeah.
all right, I guess we got nothing to offer here.
All right.
We condolences to the blogger's family. Yes, New York pressures more ISPs into child porn crackdown. There's been some screwy child porn stories about somebody. I guess they looked into like child porn with some ISPs, and some of these guys said, who cares? What was that all? You remember that one?
Yeah.
Bowing to continued pressure from the New York Attorney General, two more big-name American ISPs have shut down access to dozens of Usenet news groups that contain child porn, and many more. Why don't they track down these people?
I know. I don't understand
This
why they
doesn't
don't
make a
go
lot of
after
sense
a
to
lot
me.
of this stuff. There's lots of stuff online that has no business being there. Granted, we want the internet to be a free and open place, but there are some limits. I mean, some things.
But it seems to me that if you got all this stuff isolated on a Usenet chat room, it's not a chat room, it's actually a message board, they should be able to track down half the users, because most, to be honest about it,
What ISP provides Usenet service anymore? There's Giga News. There's lots of these third-party news providers.
Well, it's beside the point. I think you can still get through most Usenet through your browser, and you can do it all kinds of different ways.
But if your ISPs have dropped news coverage in the last couple of years, right?
Some of them still mirror.
Do they? Okay.
Not all of them, but some of them do, and they just carry the more popular topics.
All right, so that, just filter that crap out, right? This, is bewildering to me, this whole...
I think it's more of an issue of the New York trying to look like it's being proactive. And saying,
they've done that a million times. It's kind of a New York style. But it seems to me that there's a couple of things they can do here. One is they can track down some of these people that are using the news group, at least, to scold them. I don't know.
Stop.
Crazy stories.
Snip, I think that's the answer.
FCC boss reshapes hardline stance on Comcast. This guy, there's something going on here, it seems to me, that's kind of hard-ass approach to dealing with Comcast. FCC boss Kevin Martin has said he doesn't want the regulator to fine Comcast for deploying traffic shaping in its cable network. Instead, he wants the FCC to order Comcast to do it. Comcast has already promised to use more transparent shaping techniques and then disclose them.
Yeah, that's what they should do. They should disclose what they're doing. A lot of what they're doing might be viewed as reasonable, because there are some bandwidth hogs out there that they might have to go after.
Yeah, there's some guy with 10, connections, and he just
what they do is they say nothing.
Yeah, you do that. Is that what you do?
I not only bridge my node in my neighborhood, but I also do a Wi-Fi hop to another neighborhood to get on that node too. I want to shut down Comcast.
You lock them up and you bridge them, so they're all like, and so you're pumping. So what kind of bandwidth can you get doing that, pulling that stunt?
Well, it's better if you go between. Obviously, trying to do a hop to another node is very difficult.
Are you running through two network cards?
Yeah. So I use a router, a dual band, dual port router. Dual channel, I guess you could say, and I aggregate channels, which is nice. So you can grab a DSL feed and a cable modem feed, so you can just completely saturate your neighborhood.
Lovely. Remind me not to.
Don't live near.
Now, what neighborhood are you in?
The Marina. So
those poor people in the Marina probably went, well, I don't think these things are that good. They're slow. Yeah, they're slow because of him. So I always wondered if you could get some, backdoors and just suck the network dry, so you just get nothing but like a gigabit. It'd be kind of cool. Anyway, so okay, well, are we in agreement that Comcast is doing the best it can?
No.
But it took a hacker group. It took who was the group that found that they were doing this packet filtering on BitTorrent anyway? Right, it was a third-party group doing tests on the network, right?
And they found it out and exposed it. That's exactly the kind of thing where Comcast is not being open and not saying what they're doing. That gets them in trouble.
Maybe they don't know.
They know.
All I know is that you can, if you're a Twitter user, and by the way, you can subscribe to my feed at The Real Dvorak, but if you're a Twitter user, you can find Comcast Cares, and there's a guy who just rides that constantly, and if you have a problem with your Comcast connection,
He'll answer you?
Yeah, it sets you up.
That's cool. A lot of these companies are using Twitter to proactively look at feeds and
ingratiate themselves with their angry audience.
Yeah.
Clientele.
And you see, Twitter bought Surmise this week too. So Surmise was the only really way to search Twitter when you were.
That's like the cheapest way to kind of at least generate some goodwill. Well, at least they have that one schmuck out there who runs a Twitter site, and occasionally will help you out if Comcast is putting the screws to you.
Well, we're going to have to put the screws to our advertisers right now by putting one up on the screen. We'll be right back right after this message.
Looking for the leading edge in technology? Check out extremetech.com, the latest news in the tech world. Tips and tricks to tweak your rig.
Your system to make sure that you get the best overclocking experience.
Product reviews and lab testing. Ask questions or offer advice in the forums. Everything you need to keep up in tech. Build it, tweak it, know it. extremetech.com.
Welcome back to Cranky Geeks. I'm sure that was the worst segue I've ever done, but what can I say? They're not always good. Most of them are, though. Ex-HP executive pleads guilty to IBM theft. Former HP vice president pleaded guilty to stealing trade secrets while he worked for IBM and admitted sharing the data with Hewlett-Packard, the Justice Department said on Friday. Atul Malhotra of Santa Barbara pleaded guilty. He may get 10 years. So
you know what I say to this? Duh. Come on. If you're HP and you want to grow and learn, You're going to hire somebody from IBM. Right?
Yeah, it's
But if
like hiring a catcher from a different baseball team. He's going
Exactly.
to know the way the pitchers pitch.
Right. So as long
I
as
don't
he's not
get-
bringing a floppy disk or a thumb drive with trade secrets on it, that's one thing. But if he has intellectual capital, this is going to happen. I don't get it.
There must have been something more to it than what we know.
Industrial espionage.
There must actually be a floppy disk or something.
The smoking floppy.
Well, it'd be a CD-ROM probably.
HP also gets involved in so many. They're involved in some way in so many of these cases. Remember that Patricia Dunn stuff?
Yeah,
that
there's
went
a lot
on?
of-
She had to step down, and she was at the private investigators, calling people and tracking
I
people
love that
down.
story, that social engineering. Kevin Mitnick, that was his second career after computer hacking. He could have worked with HP.
Could have worked with
what was it
HP.
called? Pre-something-ing.
Yeah.
Yeah, pre-something. What is it? Come on. Somebody knows. In the whole place.
Precognition.
Oh, yeah, pre-cogs. That's right,
So it's
exactly.
Pre-texting.
Pre-texting, yes.
Somebody's
He
got
Kevin
always does
Mitnick.
that. He always does that. He can really pull quotes and stuff out. Watch
good.
him.
It's good.
I like pre-cogs though, Roger.
Enterprise is becoming the battleground for social networking. InfoWorld reports the battle to provide social networking in the enterprise is underway. Does anybody think this is a good idea?
It's actually not
Or is
as
it-
crazy as it sounds.
Sounds crazy.
If you work on a huge project that involves a multitude of people around the globe, why not have, instead of sending endless emails to each other, you all work through one, like a...
It's called a committee.
Yeah,
You have
but-
a meeting. What's the difference?
Well, if you're working with hundreds of people and each are responsible for various portions of, say, a new application, they can each have their subsites and say, like, hey, I added this, someone test it out.
Sounds like groupware.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be easier if it's you're using an interface that people are already familiar with?
Are they familiar with this? Facebook? Do you think people in the corporate world know
What,
anything
you think
about
people in the
Facebook?
corporate world are just robots that don't know anything about the outside world? They have no life?
This is
said it,
like
not
trying
me.
to justify
Jeez.
Second Life, to use Second Life as a way to collaborate.
Yeah,
This
right.
is
There
all
you go.
nonsense.
I see. He's
This is-
right. You got some sort of
Yeah.
hang-up.
You guys are cynics.
Making your nations. Well, no, we just, it's just.
You've just
come
been
on.
around the block a couple hundred.
Been around the block. I'm the world's oldest blogger. Now. Making your nation scarier with Photoshop, almost. A few days ago, Iran tested a few missiles, then released photos, which is pretty funny, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
These fake shots. Somebody mentioned that the price of oil went up after this, and now it looks like, even though everyone's all saber rattling, actually it was Buchanan of all people, says that it's possible that they're just running up. As soon as they run these missiles out, the price of oil shot up, and they made like $25 million a day per day ever since they.
But they have no refining capacity. I mean, they haven't invested.
No, but
in,
they sell. They sell just the raw
Yeah,
oil.
but do you know they have to import their own gasoline? They don't.
I know they
so
don't like refineries. I guess I don't know.
They
Can we
didn't
put
invest
the
the
photo
money.
back up there for 1 second, though? I just want to see the
one on the left.
Now look, see what they did. They're trying to show that they have more missiles than they actually have.
they just
there's
added
actually
one.
No. There's on the one on the left. There's three missiles in the air, and there's one on the launch pad. Essentially, that fourth one did not launch because of a malfunction. However, that would kind of say that they're not so good at launching missiles. So they photoshopped the fourth one in flight.
Oh yeah, and the Los Angeles Times, everybody picked it up too.
So I mean,
I don't
they did this
understand
2 years ago when they did that whole kind of
the smoke thing. Remember that?
Yeah,
one?
they trotted out their Navy, Air Force, and Army and say, hey, look how strong and powerful we are, and it's all it's all smoke and mirrors. They're doing it because
It's all crappy Photoshop work. It seems to me.
They got,
why don't you get
they got one biplane
the
up there.
entire country of all these Iranian? There must be a bunch of kids. It's like a low. The average age there is pretty low. It's like 30 or under 30. It seems to me there'd be a couple of Photoshop jockeys that could sit there and really make this thing look good. Like they're sending 1,000 missiles up and you
It's
couldn't
probably
catch
because
it.
they don't trust a lot of those people. I don't think people understand Iran has actually two militaries. They have the secular military, and then they have what they call the Guardian, or the religious military that is run by the religious sect in Iran. So, suffice to say, I think it's just a very, very.
Where did this come from?
I don't know. Where's he going with this?
How do you know this stuff?
I'm just saying they're just very paranoid
He
people, and they
actually
don't want to
reads
have
the New
anyone
York Times.
photoshopping stuff if they don't trust them.
Now Roger to me is a person of interest.
I would put him on that. I would put him on that.
Put them on the do not fly
The
list.
do not fly
But if you
list.
do, first visit revision3.com/Texzilla or revision3.com/system@systm.
Yeah, our bonus topic today is Microsoft tells Congress that Google Yahoo will give Google 90% of the online ad market. Does anybody think that's true?
They're going to just give it to him?
Well, I mean, but it's not really the online ad market. It's the search engine ad market. I mean, everybody, there's advertising every which
Yeah,
way.
but Microsoft has so little of that I think it would be around 90% if they're combined.
Of this search.
Yeah,
advertising.
the point that Microsoft has been making here is that in no kind of advertising in history, not print, radio, newspaper, has any one entity had 90% of the market. It's not appropriate.
Well, and Microsoft is complaining.
Yeah,
this is
it's
hilarious.
It's like the
This is like one
hot
of-
cuddle calling the.
Well, I think
black.
they have a point there too. Though it's 90%. I mean, that's like Windows being on 90% of desktops. It's too
Yeah,
many,
I know.
in my
There's where the
opinion.
irony lies.
Yes.
Has Microsoft given up on search yet? Right? No. Who uses it? Does anyone use it?
I use it every once in a while. Every time I fire up IE just to see.
I
if
have used it
got improved.
once a month, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. Just to
Does it
check
work?
out. Yeah, it
just-
does, but it's like, it's not.
It's like Yahoo search. Who
It's not
uses
doing
Yahoo?
anything special. I don't go there and go, oh my God, look at this. It's unbelievable. There's no comparison. That's what it has to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have to take a break for the week, as a matter of fact. We'll be back again next Wednesday. You've been watching Cranky. I'm sorry. We've been watching Cranky Geeks. I'm John C. Dvorak. See you again.